There are a bunch of foods that claim to be fantastic for fat loss. Some are great, some are total garbage. Here are the ones that claim to be great but are actually total garbage. These are the top 5 worst foods for losing fat. What makes a food great for fat loss? There are 3 different criteria that I'm looking at. First things first, it needs to be low calorie density. So for the amount of food I'm eating, is it low in calories? That is of course going to be the first place to start, because if a food has low calories, it's going to be easier for me to be in a calorie deficit, which is how I'm going to lose fat. It is of course going to be the first place to start. Allows you to feel more full, eat more food, and not get fat. Number 2 is having a high protein content. A high amount of protein for the amount of calories you're receiving. The reason that protein is fantastic, there's a lot of reasons why protein is fantastic. First of all, it is the most filling macronutrient. You will feel more full eating protein than any other macronutrient. On top of that, protein has a high thermic effect, meaning that your body requires more calories to digest protein than any other macronutrient. Finally, it's going to help support muscle growth, or at least help you maintain muscle, which is especially important when you're in a calorie deficit. If you are not receiving enough protein, your body is going to start using its own muscle as resources, as energy, rather than your fat, which is not what we want. We want to make sure we have adequate protein intake, especially when we're in a calorie deficit. Finally, we're looking for nutrient density. We want to find foods that are incredibly rich in micronutrients. When you're in a calorie deficit, you're far more likely to be nutrient deficient. Just because you're eating less overall food, there's just less chance for you to receive nutrients. So choosing foods that are high nutrient density is going to be very important to make sure we're actually getting the right nutrients for our bodies. Those are the 3 criteria I'm looking at when it comes to finding foods that are great for losing fat. So number 5 on the list for the worst foods for losing fat, we have avocado on toast. When you wake up in the morning and you think, I need to find myself a really healthy breakfast that's great for losing fat, and you say avocado on toast, you create yourself an avocado on toast monstrosity. This is not going to help you lose fat. This is a shocking option for fat loss. First of all, it is full of calories. Avocado on toast is a very, very calorie dense meal. If you're just having an avocado on a couple of pieces of toast, a little drizzle of olive oil, 500 calories. 500 calories for basically eating 2 small pieces of toast with some avocado spread on it. That is not going to be worth it. And that completely makes sense as well, because you're basically putting avocado, which is almost pure fat, drizzling olive oil on it, which is also pure fat, on a piece of bread, a refined carbohydrate. This is going to be a huge amount of calories. Fat is 9 calories per gram. Protein and carbohydrates is 4 and 4. So you're just getting a very, very calorie dense meal to start the day. On top of the fact that you're basically getting 0 protein. For an avocado on toast meal, you're getting less than 10 grams of protein, and it's all from incomplete protein sources. Your body's not really going to be able to use that protein to build or maintain any muscle. It's pure crap. Also, the nutrients in avocado on toast, yeah, there's some nutrients in avocados, but there's not really a whole lot of nutrients that you may be deficient in. It's not providing you things like magnesium. It's not providing you things like iron. It's not providing you valuable micronutrients that you might be missing. So it's really quite a useless thing to have for breakfast. It is super calorie dense, very, very low in protein, and not super nutritious. So avocado on toast, absolute crap. Number 5 for the worst foods for losing fat. Number 4, we have smoothies. Smoothies are absolute crap as well. The only saving grace when it comes to smoothies is if you're using real fruit, you're probably going to get some micronutrients. So it has a decent amount of nutrient density, but these things are loaded with sugar. They're very, very calorie dense. For one smoothie, you're probably consuming between 300 and 600 calories. At least with the avocado on toast, you're eating something. You're just drinking. A smoothie is not going to fill you up whatsoever. 300 to 600 calories, and you're trying to lose weight and you're going for a smoothie, that is not going to be a good option whatsoever. Because when you're doing a smoothie, what you're doing is you're taking fruit and you're ripping it of all the fiber, all of that volume that's going to fill you up, and you're adding a bunch of sugar, you're probably adding a bunch of high-fat milk to it, you're doing all of these things that are going to increase the calorie density, make it taste yummy, make it taste fantastic. This is no longer a health food. This is not something that is going to support your ability to lose fat. So smoothies, not going to be something that's going to help you lose fat. That is number 4 for the worst foods for losing fat. Real quick, if you would like to reach peak performance, I've left no stone unturned to giving you everything that you could possibly need, including an entire course on how to optimize your nutrition. If that is at all interesting to you, I'll leave a link in the description below. Number 3, the third worst food for losing fat is protein bars. Protein bars are an absolute scam. It is probably one of the worst foods that exist on the market. They're glorified candy bars. I don't know how they can legally get away with putting the word protein in front of the word bar. It should say candy. This stuff is absolutely shocking. Not only are most of these things super calorie dense, I mean, I'm talking about nearly 1,000 calories for 200 grams, but these things have hardly any protein. I mean, most of these things have like 10 to 12 grams of protein on a good day. Most of these have hardly any protein at all. And when they do have protein, it is from horrendous protein sources like collagen, which is a completely incomplete protein. It has a DIIAS score of 0 because it is lacking the amino acids to be a complete protein. It's not going to be helpful at all for you to build muscle. On top of all of that, these things are full of garbage. I've never seen a worse ingredient label than I have when I look at protein bars. Not only are they full of things like maltodextrin, sugar alcohols, a crap ton of sugar in general, but it's just a bunch of chemicals that you do not know what they actually are. I bet you cannot tell me the ingredients in your protein bar that you're eating. I bet you can't tell me those ingredients. And even if you grabbed the protein bar and read out the ingredient label, you wouldn't be able to pronounce the ingredients. They are total garbage, completely processed crap, full of low quality protein, super high in calories, probably has hardly any protein either. These things are not going to help you lose fat. They're an absolute scam. Protein bars is going to be number 3 for the worst foods for losing fat. Number 2 for the worst foods for losing fat, we have salads. Now, I'm not talking about the salad that you make at home where you just have a bunch of leaves that you mix together. I'm talking about when you go out and you get yourself a salad with all this dressing on it and all this crap. These end up being between 600 and 1,000 calories. You think you're eating healthy. You don't really love the taste, but it is 1,000 calories. You may as well have just eaten a cheeseburger and fries, and you probably wouldn't have hit 1,000 calories. Like, this is not a food that's going to help you lose fat. The dressing that they put on the salads is full of sugar, it is full of fat, super high calorie, on top of the fact that this has hardly any protein. I mean, the normal salad, the usual salad that you go for will have basically 0 protein. Even if you did go for a protein salad, if you think that throwing a hard-boiled egg on a salad makes it full of protein, you don't understand how food works. A boiled egg, an egg, has like 6 to 7 grams of protein. If you're weighing somewhere around 160 pounds, which is what the average man's going to weigh, you need 160 grams of protein. So this is getting you nowhere near enough protein that you would need in a day. So to get 600 to 1,000 calories and probably have less than 10 grams of protein, this is not a good food at all. Not to mention that a bunch of leaves mixed together, a bunch of dressing, not that nutrient dense either. Leaves generally don't have a lot of nutrients, so this is not going to be a good food at all for losing weight. This is number 2 for one of the worst foods for losing weight, and just one that people think is so great. People think, I'm eating a salad, it's so healthy. No, most of the time these salads are total crap. Number 1, the worst food for losing fat, doesn't come close, is peanut butter. I despise peanut butter. I don't know why people think that peanut butter is a health food. It's something that's going to help you lose fat. The only thing that peanut butter is good for is getting you fat. The only time I've used peanut butter is when I was on a keto diet and I was thinking, I'm really poor. I don't know how to get calories in keto except for just eating a bunch of peanut butter. That's the only reason I use it, is to get calories in, to gain fat, or really just to get calories in. So not going to be a good food at all. Peanut butter is just pure fat. People think, wow, peanut butter's got a lot of protein in it. Peanut butter for 200 calories, 7.5 grams of protein. Not to mention it's an incomplete protein. It is not going to be good at all for building muscle. The quality of protein sucks. It doesn't have a lot of protein. It is full of fat, super high in calories. If you want to eat 200 grams of peanut butter, you know how many calories that is? That's nearly 1,200. This is why I was using it to add calories. That's the only reason I used it, because it is so calorie dense. It is just a ball of pure fat. This is not going to help you lose fat whatsoever. You should abolish peanut butter unless for some reason you're trying to get fat. This is a shocking food for losing weight. Not to mention it's not that nutritious. Peanut butter has barely any nutrients in it. It is just full of fat, super high in calorie, low protein, and the quality of the protein sucks. Not going to be helpful at all for losing fat. It is the worst food that people think is healthy for losing fat. So those were the 5 foods that everyone thinks are healthy and great for losing fat that are actually shocking, that are probably actually contributing to you gaining weight. Do you agree with this list? Would you add anything? Would you subtract anything? Let me know about it. If you like the video, like and subscribe to the channel. There's probably a video somewhere around here that you might be interested in, so I will see you in one of those.